from their encounters with races from other planets. The information is the activation. Let's awaken this world together. We are the forever students, and we will not be silent. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. It's pretty wild. Ooh, welcome everybody to Full Spectrum Universe. My name is Rob Yoxbury, the Embattled Broadcast from the great state of New York. We are here to explore the past, to remain in the present, to dictate the terms of our future. And it is a special day, everybody. As you can see, I'm wearing my Star Wars shirt because of yesterday being May the 4th be with you, tomorrow being Revenge of the 6th, and this is the May for those of you who are Mandalorian fans. So we're here and we're paying homage to a little bit of Star Wars in the beginning of this episode because as a child, many may not know this, Star Wars was one of my all-time favorites. It still is. Everything Star Wars I eat up because I love Star Wars. I mean, I used to be able to recite the alien languages within the movies, like Jabba the Hutt and Chewbacca and the sounds, Greedo, all the different characters. So awesome that we're here on the 5th. Another thing that is amazing about May is the memes that come in, like the Justin Timberlake meme where he's singing, "It's gonna be May," Everybody knows that song from back in our childhood. So what a great time we all had listening to that. Also, tonight we unveil the link to the next workshop, Tones and Frequency Healing. It is in the description of this specific video. I've also created a post. The people who are members of the channel get 20% off of the ticket sale price, which is only $25. I will be putting a post that is members only after the show, but everybody who is not a member of the channel still gets 10% off with the promo code, all one word, Forever Student. We are all forever students, and what we're doing is we're giving everybody crash courses in different modalities of healing. These energetic workshops are giving everybody the avenue to be a healer, to represent the healing modality within whatever space that they create, but it's a crash course. Why do we do this? We do this because we want to go out there and represent a different paradigm for the rest of the world to create those ripple effects and be those changes. This tonal and frequency healing workshop is going to impact the people listening, seeing, and feeling. What do I mean by that? To get to the higher elevations of consciousness, you have to refine your frequency, which is your energy. To do that, we can use tones and we can use frequency practices that'll give you more accessibility to higher states of consciousness. When we're doing that, this is how we get to that next step of ascension. So this is why we do these workshops. This is why we put it together. Ask anybody who is a part of the first workshop, which was quantum energy healing and reality matrix healing. From what I understood and what the chat looked like, everybody had an amazing time. Everybody learned a lot. Now, with each workshop, there is an informational downloadable package that comes along with the ticket sale price. So when you purchase the ticket, you get all of the downloads that I've been downloading, as in charts, graphs, PDF files, all of that. So those alone to add to your archive are worth their weight in gold. So it's a $25 ticket, 10% off for everybody who's not a member, 20% off for the members of the channel because they consistently help out and support us here. Also, Super Chats is open for anybody feeling inclined to donate with love and gratitude. All proceeds from the event or the workshop and all proceeds that are made in the chat go back into the broadcast to get us behind specific paywalls, to get certain information, but also to enhance the quality and consistencies of these broadcasts. So with all that being said, thank you all so much for being here. It's an amazing night. And again, we're going to drop that workshop link within the chat when we're going through this. I'm actually going to put it up there right now for everybody in case you're inclined to go and purchase a ticket. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a very closed platform. There's only 250 tickets. There is also, they go pretty fast too. So if you're inclined to get it, I would suggest you get it sooner rather than later. Also, it is an uncensored platform. The uncensored platform part of it is the best part. We get to talk about things that we can't speak about right here because we don't want to lose these channels, because we have a lot going on. We have to mind our tongues a little bit on this platform, which I don't like doing, but to maintain this contact between me, myself, and you and the community at large, I will do what I have to make sure that we are all creating positive intentions into the future. And all we have to do is kind of curb our language a little bit, and we can still say things, just get around it in different ways. So tonight's episode is First Contact, Part 2, where the races from the stars have had contact with humanity. We're going to go over specific races and the specific moments that they've had their contact, right? So, and some people are not getting notifications for the shows. Something you might want to try doing is unsubscribing and subscribing again. If that's the case, go into your settings and tamper with the settings a little bit. Sometimes there's something that doesn't give you the notifications right away, or if you have settings turned off on your phone or computer, whatever the case is. But also after this, Omar is going to be doing part 20 of Spiritual Sciences with Agi. It's going to be an absolutely epic episode. So transfer over at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over to Watchers Talk. And, I see we got a lot of people here tonight. Sugar Bee's here, Nicole's here, Sparkle Light's here, Deborah, the Andromedan, John S., Gray Noise, Anu, Teresa. We've got Jay Rocco in the house. DL is here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Susan is here. Prince is here. Harmony is here. So many amazing people. And Susan, excellent to see everybody. So another thing you could do to help out, Robert Myers is here. Awesome, everybody. Something else you can do to help us out is to share the links for um, the Eventbrite workshop, and also the show's out. You can like, share, subscribe, leave a comment when we finish. Hello, Helen. Good to see you as well. So without further ado, let's get into the information. Dreamcatcher, good to see you. So here we are. Tonight is First Contact with the Races from the Stars, Part 2. Part 2. We've gone through the last one. The last one, we went through the vegans. We went through the Lyrans and a couple of other races. Tonight, we're going to be going over the Pleiades, the Procyons, and the Tau Setians, or Tau Setians, as some people call them. These are very, very important races when it comes to humanity. We also went through the Alpha Centaurans in the last episode as well. So we're spicing it up with some lesser known type of entities on this show, but they're equally as important. A lot of it has to do with the Billy Myers contact, which we've already talked about a little bit. So we're going to get into a little bit of it, but the Pleiadians is a big, big one. This is a big one, right? So we're going to go. Thank you very much, Susan. So we're gonna go into a little bit of what we need to know about the Pleiadians. So everybody take a breath. This information comes from a bunch of different sources. So if it doesn't apply, you let it fly. If it resonates with you, you can, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and share it out. So the Pleiadians is a younger constellation. It's a hot blue star about 440 light years in distance from where we are right now. Due to its relatively young age of 100 million years, it's thought that this is not long enough for life to have naturally evolved within the Pleiades. However, according to a number of contactees, extraterrestrials fleeing instability in the Lyran constellation found Pleiades as suitable for habitation. So, due to their advanced technologies, they were able to terraform various planets and build flourishing civilizations throughout a lot of the Pleiades. There's a bunch of different races that reside within the Pleiades as well. So, due to its young age, you would not have advanced indigenous life on it. And therefore, it was an ideal shelter for escaping planetary upheavals elsewhere in the galaxy, which is, we see a lot of that happening from Lyra because of these arc ships that they have. So Billy Myers described how the Pleiadians descended of Nordic-looking Lyrans and they migrated between a number of stars before finally settling in the Pleiades constellation. And if we all know the Pleiades, we also know it as a lot of indigenous cultures as the Seven Sisters, right? Seven Sisters is a big big deal. We're going to dedicate an entire episode of breaking down the different ancient civilizations, talking about their celestial body of the Pleiades and calling it the Seven Sisters and what those seven sisters represented metaphorically and potentially literally, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun doing that too. So the ancient history of early Pleiadian ancestors and another home sun system was also described on how they came to travel to the Pleiades. A much earlier migration to this solar system is also described, and how and why it failed at first. So the 1/3 of the survivors of the Pleiadian ancestors' original planet, after it was devastated, evolved a new technology and designed and built the greater space evacuation arcs in just 900 years. So it took them 900 years to build these ships, which gave them the ability to get off planet because of instabilities. And these began to launch from everywhere for many hundreds of more years after that. So the extraterrestrials visiting Switzerland are the descendants of one of these space arcs, which occupied one of the three planets engineered for human habitation in one of the sun systems in what we call Pleiades today. So they've experienced great gains and great losses many times over since that time. In a very real sense, we are descendants of the earliest colonists and attempted to settle in this solar system together with an assortment of aborigines and human exiles from a number of places. This is why we talk about all rivers point back to Lyra. All rivers pointing back to Lyra is what we talk about a lot, because a lot of our ancestral lineage, even if you're from the Andromedans, the Pleiades, the Alpha Centaurans, those are all arcs from the Lyran Great Wars, or the Lyran Galactic War with the Draco. They built these ships and they had to leave their home planet for a while, right? And this is what happens when this upheaval or two technologically advanced civilizations butt heads. And we can go into the beginnings of how Lyra essentially had the different type of Lyran life, and then the Dracos coming from somewhere close but not quite Lyra, right? So there's a lot going on when we talk about these ancient histories. A whole lot going on. So as we keep going here, the particular star system from which Billy Meyer Pleiadians originate is Tegeta, and the main planet is Era. The Pleiadians from Tegeta identified Meyer as one of their chosen representatives with a mission to bring the truth of the extraterrestrial presence to humanity. An entity by the name of Samjazi, the Pleiadian female who made contact with Meyer, described the Pleiadians as follows: "We are neither guardians of Earth beings nor God sent angels or similar. Many persons suggest we are watching over Earth and her beings and would control their fates. This is not true, because we only perform a self selected mission which has nothing to do with supervising or regulating Earth's fates. Thus, it is wrong to expose us as super terrestrial messengers as guardians," which is a big deal. Now it might things may have changed at this point, right? But I don't believe so. I believe that they're still watching from afar. They're giving nudges in specific directions, but they're not sitting there saying, "We're going to be the guardians and save you from everything." Earthlings have to save themselves, right? That's and a lot of the referencing names of the Pleiadians, when Billy Myers talks about them, he calls them the Pleiadians because of his Swiss accent and the way that it translates to the Swiss dialect, right? So it's a really crazy thing. And what Teresa's talking about something in the chat here. She said, "I had three beings visit me. Male had square gold helmet, and two female had appointed gold helmets, and then had gold attire on. Beautiful human features." That's incredible. There are a number of different races that this could be. We would have to get a little bit more into detail to kind of pinpoint which one it was. The Anunnaki actually come to people wearing golden garb a lot, but there are a lot of different entities that use gold as well. But the first one that comes to mind is the Anunnaki because of the prevalence of gold and the necessity of gold in their society. But let us keep going. So the Pleiadians identified a key aspect of their mission is to warn humanity of negative extraterrestrials. There are also different life forms that have acquired much knowledge and have freed themselves from their environment. They travel through space and occasionally come to Earth. Many of them are rather unpleasant creatures and live in a type of barbarism that frequently is nearly as bad as the terrestrials. So they have some points of interest here, and there's a few points. So the first one is you should be aware of them because they often attack and destroy everything that gets in their way. Many times they have been destroyed and have destroyed whole planets or forced their inhabitants into bondage. It is one of our missions to warn the people of Earth of these creatures. Let this be known to Earth's people, because the time is approaching when the conflict with these degenerate human creatures becomes unavoidable, right? So this sounds a lot like right now, does it not? Does it not? Do we not think that we are in the fight of our lives right now? We're fighting for the terms of our future. This is what this means, right? So, what do we have to do to prepare for that? I see Kelly's here. Awesome. Ainsmont is here. And Kelly again is here. Two Kellys. Perfect. What do we have to do? We have to get into alignment. We have to align our body, our mind, and our soul or our consciousness. This is ultimately important. And two of the ways that we do that is by creating bridges through tones and also frequency healing to align ourselves to create the fullest potential so that these darker entities have no bearing, because our refined energy is so tightly packed into us that all they can do is shy away, because the darkness always runs from the light when the light is overbearing. This is why we do the workshops we do. This is what we're going to be pointing out during these workshops, because this is what it is. It is absolutely phenomenal for us to get ourselves in perfect alignment. And when we're in perfect alignment, no deception shall be set upon us, which will take us off of our path. Again, this is why we do what we do. This is why we talk about these things and we explore all that is explorable right now, past, present, future, so that we can be in full control of where we go from here. Right. So let us keep going. Sorry, it was a little bit of a rant, but as we keep going. So another person who's had contact with these extraterrestrials is Alex Collier, right? So according to Alex Collier, the Pleiadians are involved in armed skirmishes with gray extraterrestrials in the solar system and other solar systems such as Sirius B. Other key aspects of the Pleiadian mission, according to Myers, are to assist and to uplift human consciousness and to promote unity of religion. Significantly, Myers Pleiadians were dismissive of the claims of many of the contactees, such as Adaminsky. If you don't know who Adaminsky is, I'm not going to talk bad about this person, but they've been shown to be somewhat foolish when he comes out with his contact, whether it's right or wrong. That's just a personal opinion, but a lot of people feel the same way. So, and thereby implied exclusively in relating to truths and the dynamics visiting extraterrestrials. Interestingly, Collier claimed that some of the Pleiadian groups, such as those from Alcyon, operate within hidden agendas. And while those from Tegeta, of course, those are Billy Myers' Pleiadians, are described as genuinely assisting humanity. Serdlow claims, who's another experiencer, that there are 16 different extraterrestrial groups located within the Pleiades. So there's 4 people talking about the Pleiades just now, right? And there's a significance to that. And we can get into that at a later date, but we're just trying to relay the information now. I'm not telling you what to believe, what not to believe. I'm just giving the information out. You choose what you want to believe, and what doesn't apply, we let it fly. So, despite the possible hidden agenda of some Pleiadians, most testimony and evidence points to the Pleiadians in generally having positive interactions with humans, and that they're here to assist in the elevation of human consciousness and assisting humanity in fighting for freedom from aggressive extraterrestrial influences. Now, remember where this information is coming from as well. This is a book by Dr. Michael Salla, which is talked about in the description, so you can get the title and purchase this book yourself. That's why we're going through this. Dr. Michael Salla calls this book Galactic Diplomacy, Getting ET to Say Yes. This book is chock full of insight. Now, some people, you know, dismiss other extraterrestrial contact out of hand that it's not their own. I tend to think of a broader spectrum and take all information I can from all sources until I vet it no longer plausible. Everything that I've read in this book is plausible, and it is actually confirmed from other sources as well. So this is a very integral book into getting to the galactic diplomacy of what we know to be extraterrestrial life in this constellation and many others, right? So keep the open mind. So as we keep going here, which we will, again, there's a lot of information here, so I'm trying to go as fast as I can so we can get to a little bit of like, one-on-one time with everybody. So the manner of the Pleiadian interaction with humans suggests that their intervention type B extraterrestrials is so far that they have physical contact with humans and take them on their ships to witness advanced technologies and gain further information. So in conclusion, the main activity of the Pleiadians appears to be helping humanity find freedom from the oppressive structures through education and consciousness raising, right? The Pleiadians can assist in finding global solutions such as universal human rights and participatory democratic systems and the evolution of human consciousness and global education. So, the next type of entity that we're talking about here is not one that is regularly talked about a lot. And this is the Procyons or Procyons. I've seen it spelt with an L. The Procyons, the Procyons. Different languages cause different, you know, interpretations of what we're talking about. So Swerdlow, I believe, is a very good basis for a lot of what we talk about, and he was part of the Montauk Project, which brings a lot of information to people. And when they see that, they say, "Well, he could have been fed that information." MK Ultra. There's a lot of different, things that happen. But again, we take what we want and we sort of look at it and what resonates with us. So I don't want to sit here and say anybody is faulty or anybody is good. I don't want to give any direction to what I believe the information to be, because that wouldn't be doing anybody a service. It would actually be doing a disservice to try and sway people, from one information or the other. So I like to think that all information has something to be learned from it, and we will do with what we resonate with, right? So let us move forward. According to veteran UFO researcher George Andrews, one of the space colonies spawned by the Lyrans was established on the planet in the Regal solar system, or the Regal solar system, in the Orion constellation. At some point in its history, Regal, with its Nordic population, underwent destructive civil war and was taken over by the Greys. Andrews gained this information from a contactee's testimony concerning a Nordic extraterrestrial from the star system of Procyon called Kyla. Kyla revealed much information about the Regalians, the Procyons, and the Greys to the contactee, whose information consisted with other sources and Andrews concluded was credible. The contactee described Kyla as follows. Kyla looked like a tall, handsome human, slender but muscular, masculine yet etherical. He appeared either naturally or artificially to have black around his eyes, almost like coal. His face was close to exquisite, but definitively masculine. He had a gaunt face with high cheekbones and piercing cobalt blue eyes. He had fine blonde hair that was almost shoulder length. He had a muscular neck, and his skin was pale flesh color, which whitish overtone. It is hard to gauge his exact height because of the circumstances under which our encounter occurred, but it was somewhere between 6 and 7 feet tall. Pretty wild. Pretty wild, right? That's wild. To get down to like the visualization of what this entity looked like to me is wild because I can see where this would be similarities, right? Shannon, you made it. Awesome. I see Shannon's here. Crystal Dawn, welcome, welcome. Awesome. Everybody's here tonight. We're getting it all in. So this is again a race that is not often talked about. So Andrews has a book called Extraterrestrials Among Us, which you see here. And he writes about the history of the Regalians. And it was revealed to him via his contact with Kyla. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And it says the ancestors of the short grays were once tall blondes. The Great War took place. Before the Great War, Regal was a vast empire which had been the source of of most galactic seedings. All Regalians were tall blondes. A colony had already been established on Procyon. The Great War was a civil war of the Regalians versus the Regalians and lasted the equivalent of 3 Earth centuries. A group of Regalians who realized that the Great War was about to break out took off from Procyon, the Procyon colony, in crude, clandestinely built ships. They were the only Regalians to escape the cataclysmic devastation, and all those who remained on Regal were transformed into the short grays. That's fascinating, right? So it appears that Rigel underwent a planet-wide nuclear war and environmental collapse that led to the life in the underground shelters. It is very unlikely that the transformation of Nordic Regalians involved them becoming short grays, whose genetic material is generally accepted as inferior to human races, such as the Nordics, right? So the genetic mutation process would have taken much longer than 3 centuries mentioned. It's more likely that the surviving Regalians and Nordics were incorporated into the planet-wide genetic hybridization program by the short grays and from a star system such as the Zeta Reticulans, who had covertly infiltrated and undermined the Regal prior and during the Great War on Rigel, right? So the short grays most likely succeeded in genetically engineering the tall grays or tall whites using genetic material from the Nordic survivors who were taken or were far too weak to resist the grays hybridization agenda. These Regalians, or tall grays and whites, subsequently play a key role in diplomatic initiatives by the grays and serve as a genetic model for the new human gray hybrid races that allegedly represent the best of both species. That is fascinating. Fascinating. Think about that. Think about how long that took the grays to pull off. And when they did pull it off, how covertly sinister that is, right? Absolutely wild. That's wild. So we can see up. Valentina made it. Awesome. Awesome. Good to see you. Good to see you. So next part of this is most of the Regalians who fled their planet traveled to the star system of Procyon to restart their civilization. Stuart Swerdlow also claims that those inhabiting Procyon are refugees from the devastating wars in the Lyran constellation. He says, however, that they came directly from Lyra, and after the destructive war between the Lyrans and the Draco Reptilians, this is where they came to, right? Swerdlow and Andrews' research indicates that Procyon has been used as a safe haven for human refugees for a number of destructive stellar conflicts. Now, imagine, right? I'm going to bring it back to me for a second. Imagine being of Lyran descent. Now, what happens? We're on an arc ship to Procyon. And a few centuries later, because we don't know exactly how long these entities live for, so some of them could have still been around for the next going of civil war. So now another civilization you're a part of has to be arced away, right? From the Regalian system back to Procyon. So how many times have they transferred their civilization to a new planet, which in turn brings different struggles and different changes to genetics and so many different layers to this onion that we can peel back to see where these how far removed from the Lyran civilization a lot of these entities now are. But still they hold a genetic anomaly or genetic code that brings them and traces them back to the Lyran people. So such is humanity. Believe it or not. We hold the same thing, right? How many times are we genetically altered over the years of different people ruling this planet and in trying to enslave humanity, right? And tinkering with their genetics or inducting their own genetics into the pool. Remember, Earth is an arc planet. Every single strand of structural DNA is on this planet from the entire universe. So while some say this is a prison planet, it's not, it's a hospital planet. What does that mean? That means that in the in every bit of uh, genetic material matter on this planet is coded back to some other place in the universe or inherently indigenous to this specific planet and has been added other genetics, right? So we're here to restart any civilization that is on the brink of extinction, which is why all these entities from all over the universe come to this planet and interface with humanity, good, bad, and indifferent. And that's why people say, is Earth the center of the universe? Not really sure. But because of the genetic code, we're the archive of the universe, right? It is a living library. Exactly, Prince. A living library. That's what we are. That's what this planet is. So we have to, we have to hold that esteem for us and for all of the genetic material on this planet, which means we have to take care of it all. So one way to do that, again, is to heal yourself and make sure that we refine our energy and not have erratic or misplaced energies, which is why we do and again, I'm going to keep quoting back to the energetic workshop because I believe it's so important for you to gain alignment, but also not just alignment, to understand how energy works. And tones and frequency are energy. So this is an energy workshop, which is going to tell everybody how these energies react with your auric field, with your physical, with your mental, with your energetic selves. We're going to play different types of tones and show you how your body, your mind, and your consciousness reacts to those specific, to those specific tones. We're going to scientifically break it down, but we're also going to let you feel the energy. And then you can pass that information on as you see fit. And again, it comes with a download of all these different PDFs, charts, graphs, and specific packets of information, which you can add to your archive, which is well worth the $25 in itself. So, again, I'm going to put the link into the chat so everybody can see the link. And if you want to purchase a ticket, tickets are available as of right now. We have 16 days until the Sunday of the 21st at 8 p.m. to purchase tickets. So here is the link going into the chat right now. This is the Eventbrite link to get your tickets. Remember, by using the promo code Forever Student, you get 10% off of the ticket sale price. Join us. It's always a lot of fun, and we have a great time, and we learn a lot from each other. So let's get back to the information at hand, because that's what we're here to do. So we talked about Procyon and how the Procyons got there. So Procyon is a binary star system about 11.4 light years from Earth. It was apparently the fourth planet in the system on which the Regalians established their new colony. According to Andrews, the colony of Procyon flourished until it became embroiled in the sinister efforts by the Greys that now populated the Regal system to subvert the Procyons. Kyla describes the process adopted by the Greys in their subversion of Procyon. And this is what she said. The Greys began to visit us. First, a few as ambassadors, then as specialists in the various domains where their expertise could be useful to us. As participants in the different programs that involved mutual collaboration, and finally as tourists. What had began as a trickle became a flood, and they soon came in every increasing numbers, slowly but surely infiltrating our society at all levels, penetrating even the more secret or elite power groups. Just as our planet, just as on your planet, they began by unobtrusively gaining control over key members of the CIA and the KGB through techniques unknown to them, such as telepathic hypnosis that manipulates the reptilian levels of the brain, and so on the Procyon through the same techniques. They established a kind of telepathic hypnotic control over the leaders and over our leaders and over almost all of us, because it was as if we were unable or under a spell that was leading to our own doom, and as if we were beginning or being programmed by a type of ritual black magic that we did not realize existed. Tell me this doesn't send shivers up and down your spine with the parallels of right now, right? Tell me it doesn't just resonate with the energy all around us right now. The hairs on my arm are standing up. The hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. And I'm feeling a tap on my shoulder, which is the ancestors telling me I'm on to something. I'm here and I'm on to something. This is what we're fighting against in this moment. These extraterrestrial races are bringing us information of their demise so that we don't fall victim to the same thing. That's why this information is paramount. It's paramount. So what do? We share this out. We get people to understand what we're talking about. We show them that there is sourced information from multiple places that can turn the tide of what is happening. They just have to be inclined to jump in with both hands to this tug of war and really give their all and energetically align themselves with the human future, not the transhuman future, right? That's what this is. Transhuman, is machined futures. We're the dictators of the next future, not dictators of like a regime, but we dictate what the future holds for us. Nobody will have that power for over us. Nobody. We will not grant them that power. And actually, by saying it right now, we're setting an affirmation that will send shockwaves into the entire universe and push back against these many systems that try to stamp down human potential. Well, take a good look, those of you out there that will try and stop what is actually coming, because we are what human potential looks like. We are the establishers of the future. We are the druids and the ancestors of the next generation. So it's up to us. It's up to us to be those beacons. And we take that mission wholeheartedly with smiles on our faces. We will stay in the trenches taking hand grenades so that the legacy of this planet can dictate the terms of its own future. Our progeny will be the next level, and we know it. We are the transition. They are the enlightened ones, right? That's how this works. So let us keep going. Let us keep going. Sorry, I had to rant on that a little bit. That was a little bit from the heart, and I felt like that we needed to hear that. We needed a little bit of pick me up in the middle of the episode. So let's keep going. So Kyla went on to describe the eventual takeover of Procyon by the Greys and the enslavement of most of the Procyons themselves. who did not escape this specific gray invasion. Using advanced time travel technology, which involved multidimensional consciousness, something which the Greys apparently could not duplicate due to their degraded genetic bodies. A significant number of Procyons were able to escape and began a liberation war from the remote corridors of time. Epic, 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 epic. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? We know that. Where there's a will, there's a way. So, significantly, the Procyons described how some of their resistance techniques would be relevant to the situation on Earth. Imagine that. It would be suicidal to attempt to fight the Greys directly with the weapons now at their disposal. One must be rational in attempting to fight back and understand the proper ways to proceed. Your own consciousness is the most potent weapon that is available to you at the present time. The most effective way to fight the Greys is to change the level of your consciousness from linear thinking to multidimensional awareness. They have the technology to throw your planet out of orbit, but there is one key ability that you have that they don't have: the ability to hold in mind imaginary that inspires an individual to realize his or her direct personal connection to the source of all that is. This is your key to victory. Again, this is why we do the workshops. We're refining our craft. And I don't mean spacecraft, I mean what we do. We're refining what we do to be in alignment with source, to be the greatest weapons for our future, right? Not weapons in a violent way, weapons in a safeguard way, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And we all have that inherent inside of us. So, according to Alex Collier, the Procyons have recently liberated their world from the gray influence. And he describes that the Procyons are currently gung ho when it comes to dealing with the grays. So, this is a big deal, right? This is a big deal. They help us to understand their plight. And when we understand their plight, it can no longer be duplicated by these specific entities that are out there. So, next, I feel real good about this show tonight. I feel real good about this show. This show has just been off the rails. Like, I feel like there's a lot of great energy formulating around this show right now, and I think it's important that we stick to these guns, right? So, oh, well, wrong way. Next is the Tau Setians. Now, this is only one picture of the Tau Setians. There are multiple races that reside within the Tau Setian culture, right? This is just one. There's a lot of them. I've got different pictures of different ones, and we're not really gonna explain why that is, but this is sort of like a melting pot. This kind of represents what America is or was to the colonial world. Yeah, I've got my coffee in hand. We're hitting on all cylinders tonight for sure. So, other human populated worlds are apparently the star systems of the Tau Ceti and the Epsilon Eridani. And the Tau Cetan is a star system very similar to Earth's and is almost 12 light years away. UFO researcher Frank Crawford interviewed a number of individuals who had physical contact with the Tau Cetans. The first and most significant was allegedly a whistleblower who participated in crash retrievals of UFOs. A live occupant was captured and interrogated by the U.S. national security officials from a crash near Phoenix, Arizona in 1961. Oscar, the pseudonym used by the whistleblower, described to Frank Crawford the origins of the captured extraterrestrial who was nicknamed Hank. Of all the names to give him, Hank, I don't know why they did that, but it's funny. So it was later confirmed by Hank that the stars of origin of his people were the Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani. In a later sessions, Oscar discussed some of the reason for the presence of the aliens. He said that they do not like the situation with some of the small gray aliens. He corrected us when we used the term gray and said that they are currently white. So the Tau Setians feel that the abductions being carried out by some of the Greys are a great injustice to humanity. They are a parasitic race that has and is preying on human civilization throughout the universe. This is what Oscar relayed. He added that our government's involvement with the Greys is very dangerous and out of control, and the Tau Setians have been preyed upon by these aliens before, and they are working with other races and communities that were also victims, the Procyons, right? And Oscar wants people to know that if they are contacted by the Tau Setians, that humans such as he described them, to not be afraid because they're here to help. The revelations by Hank suggested that the Tau Satans are present to help deal with covert strategies and activities of the Greys. This is particularly very concerning about the nature of agreements reached with them by the U.S. shadow governments and in helping individuals or abductees, right? So Stuart Serlo describes the Tau Satans in implacably opposed the activities of the Greys. And according to Oscar, the Tau Satan Hank was tortured, and that has nearly caused an incident with the other Tau Satans who wanted the military to intervene on the behalf of their captured colleague, which means the Tau Satan's military, the Tau Setians. I can't say it right. You know what I mean. John Lear also included information of a captured Tau Satan and his torture in his disclosure briefings. So the events described by Oscar are consistent with the main activity of the Tau Setians as described in the following telepathic communication from HM. One of the races from Tau Ceti, they're specialists in intrigued and determining motivations of the cloaked societies. They understand the ways that subterfuge can cripple a system. They would be excellent contacts for undercover work. Pretty crazy, right? It's pretty wild to know about how these people do this. And this is the other form that the Satans take. This is what Hank looked like, right? So, a second individual claiming to have physical contact with the Tau Setians was Jill Waldeport, who described to Frank Crawford how she had been contacted by two sets of extraterrestrials, the Greys and the human looking race that attempted to help her in dealing with the Greys. Jill informed me that the aliens told her they didn't like some of the aliens that she was doing business with without their consent. They had This is the Greys talking, right? They had come to help her learn how to overcome deceptions of the Greys, the Tau Setians, and protect herself. They explained that she needed to physically build a shield around herself and psychically as well, like a brick wall when they came for her. This would help her from being deceived by their mind tricks. She tried it the next time the Greys came to her, and it seemed to work. Crawford then revealed how Jill described the origins of the benevolent extraterrestrials of Tau Setian. And at this point, the correlation counter in this is working overtime for all of us, right? So it's basically deciding to essentially go through what we're investigating here, and it's relatively same of what we just talked about. And we have one more contact that we're going to talk about this evening. Well, this was actually the one we should have put forward, but there's one more after this. Bandia, good to see you. Good to see you. So this is the last slide for this evening. And now this one looks crazy, but this isn't exactly what Jerry Willis found or saw. But this is also some of the Tau Setians and what they look like, which almost looks like a Bigfoot or a Wendigo, right? Ronnie, good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you made it. Which is insane, right? This is crazy. They think that they're potentially the Bigfoots of this of our civilization, or the Wendigos. So a noted explorer and energy healer who claims that he has also met with extraterrestrials from Tau Ceti who were very tall, nearly 7 foot in height, and were Caucasian looking humans. Incredibly, Willis says that they told him that he is one of them and was dropped off as a baby in a secret program to help evaluate human consciousness and society. So Wills was adopted by a human family and found out late in life that he was in fact adopted. Wills had displayed unusual abilities all his life. And and when it came to public prominence through his energy healing sessions with people and was covered by major news networks within the United States. More recently, he has conducted expeditions into remote areas of Peru to find evidence of humanity's extraterrestrial origins. The main the main evidence that Wills has supporting his story is the unusual ability and his own height of 6 foot 8 inches tall. And it's not hard to believe that he could be the offspring of a tall extraterrestrial civilization. So, in basically in conclusion, a lot of the activities that the Tau Setians basically take part in is the raising of awareness to deal with subversion societies. And also, they're here for the multidimensional consciousness, diplomacy, resolution, implant removal, deprogramming, mind control, subversion to get away from it, and monitoring extraterrestrial infiltration. So, the Tau Setians is the last civilization we're going to talk about tonight. How incredible was it to hear of these extraterrestrial family or extraterrestrial side families helping us with the infiltration of the grays? Now, here's a point I want to make, and I want to hone down on this because while majority of the grays are bad, not all of them are, right? We have people within our community right now that have positive interactions with these grays. They're a different group of grays, right? They're not the majority group, but some grays, very, very few, and I have to make that very, very known that if a gray comes to you, do not trust it for anything until it proves itself otherwise, because this group that one of our friends has contact with is a very, very small group. Very small group. They are the ones that have worked with the galactic federations and the diplomatic agencies within the galaxy. So we have to be cognizant of the threat that most of the grays basically pose on this planet, right? So thank you, Susan. Thank you for the super sticker. Very much appreciated. All proceeds from super chats go back into the broadcast to help us bring even more information to everybody. And don't forget that we have the workshop. It is literally 16 days from today. Only 250 tickets available. Forever Student is the promo code for 10% off. For those of you who are members of the channel and have a subscription based support of the channel, you will be given 20% off, and there is a different code that you will be using. And I just want to say that thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of the support, whether it's positive energy, donations, whether it's purchasing a ticket. All the support it's humbling, and it makes me feel like what I'm doing is resonating with people. Now, I'm not saying the money aspect of it. I'm saying you know, the um the energy aspect of it, right? And it really I can't I'm going to be emotional in a moment, but it means the world to me that people are getting something from these broadcasts just by itself, just by itself. And I pray for every one of you that comes and hangs out, and even those of you that don't. I pray for everybody because I think that we need to find our connection to source. And when we have that unbridled connection, so many things happen. This is why I have the ability to contact those ancestors and be in that space. And all of you have that availability too. You just got to figure it out. You got to figure out how to get there, right? That's it. It's all about becoming aware of these things. And tonight is what's called the milk moon, if nobody's looked it up yet. And that's the full bright moon looks white, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. But again, I'm going to drop the link one more time into the chat if to purchase your ticket for the event. Also, if you could please, please, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment when this is finished. After this show tonight, Omar will be doing part 20 to him and Augie's series. So head on over to Watchers Talk and watch, because they've been diving into so many different topics related to consciousness. And all of these avenues have just been mind blowing, right? Augie is a bevel of wealth and knowledge. We need to sit at the feet of those who came before us and paved the way, right? So, again, one last time, here is the link for the energetic workshop. It's called Tones and Frequency Healing. We're going to be, I'm telling you, this is going to blow your mind. I always set the expectations high, and this one is going to be higher than the first one, right? This is what it's all about. This is what you can find, these tones and frequencies in nature all around you. This is also how we combat low frequency vibrational energies. This is why this is important, right? So the workshop will be covering that as well. With all that being said, I love you all. I hope everybody received this information with love and gratitude, because I received all of you with love and gratitude. And I hope to see you next time. Please share out the workshop link, share out the link to this program, and let's change the world one ripple at a time, right? Let's do this together. Let's do this together. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that. You guys are amazing. You guys are the best. Really. I love all of you. And I will see you all next time.